Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a new blueprint for managing a massive risk that every single financial institution is grappling with right now, and that's the trillion-dollar threat of autonomous AI.
So let's just start with the one question that is absolutely keeping CFOs and regulators up at night. Because, this isn't some far-off sci-fi scenario anymore. This is the reality of the markets today.
I mean, look, these agentic AI systems are not on the sidelines. They are right at the heart of finance, making huge decisions. We're talking about building multi-billion-dollar portfolios, making markets, deciding who gets a loan. Trillions of dollars are flowing through these algorithms every single day. But here's the problem. This rush to use the best, most powerful AI models creates this huge hidden danger. It's something regulators are now laser focused on, and it's being called the monoculture time bomb. So what is that? Well, at its core, it's what happens when every bank, every hedge fund, every insurance company starts relying on the same handful of super smart AI models. They've unintentionally created a gigantic, system-wide single point of failure. Just one mistake, one tiny flaw, and it could trigger a financial earthquake.
And this visualizes the problem perfectly. On the left, if you've got a lot of different AI models, a failure in one is, it's contained. It's a small fire you can put out. But on the right, in a monoculture, that same small fire turns into an out-of-control wildfire that just rips across the entire financial system.
And here's where it gets really terrifying for a bank's bottom line. The data shows that in a monoculture, your financial loss doesn't just add up, it squares. It explodes. As you can see here, the risk doesn't just double or triple, it scales quadratically. A $1 billion problem can become a $100 billion we're out of business event in the blink of an eye.
Okay, so how in the world do you prevent that wildfire? Well, a new paper is proposing a pretty comprehensive safety blueprint designed just for the world of finance. They call it the Finance-Grade Verifiable Governance Architecture, or FG VGA for short.
Now, the key thing to understand here is that this isn't about trying to create a perfectly safe AI, because that's probably impossible. Instead, it's about building a system that takes all the inherent uncertainty of AI and turns it into something you can control, audit, and hold people accountable for right up to the board level. It's really a defense-in-depth approach built on 5 different layers, or planes. You've got the policy plane, which basically sets the ground rules, the evidence plane, which creates an unchangeable receipt for everything the AI does, the attestation plane makes sure you're not running some rogue AI, the systemic plane, and this is key, watches for that dangerous herd behavior, and it even has a sustainability plane to track energy use. But the real game changer, the part that directly tackles that monoculture time bomb we were talking about, is on that systemic plane. It's a brilliant concept the paper calls an AI diversity score. Right, so the technical name is the Heterogeneity Score, or HS. The easiest way to think about it is like a biodiversity score for all the AI models a bank is using. It's one single number that tells you exactly how differently all your AIs are thinking and acting. A high score? Great, you've got healthy diversity. A low score? That's a huge red flag. And this score isn't just pulling a number out of thin air. It's actually a combination of 3 really deep metrics. It looks at how different the AI's actions are, how different their internal logic is, and even how differently they react to tiny changes in data. So you get this complete 360-degree view of how diverse your models really are. In this table, this is what makes it all work. Because a low diversity score isn't just some flashing light on a dashboard that a trader can ignore. No way. It has real, automatic, hard-coded consequences. As that score drops, the system automatically forces more human review. Then it makes you escalate to the C-suite. And it even forces the firm to set aside more capital to cover the extra risk. And if it gets too low, the system just says no. The action is forbidden. So let's make this concrete. How would this actually play out on a typical day? The paper gives us a really clear scenario. Okay, so you have an autonomous AI agent. It's doing a totally normal but very high-stakes task. It wants to rebalance a portfolio worth billions of dollars. In an instant, before the trade can even be considered, the FG VGA system calculates that AI's diversity score against all the other models running. The result comes back, 0.635. Now, the bank has a policy, and it's coded right into the system, that for a trade of this size, the minimum diversity score has to be 0.65. The AI score is just a little too low.
It's thinking a little too much like everyone else. And so the system does its job. It automatically slams on the brakes. The trade is blocked. It doesn't happen. Instead, it gets kicked upstairs for a mandatory review by 3 separate human managers. The failsafe worked. It stopped a potentially risky herd-like trade dead in its tracks.
You know, this one quote really sums up the entire philosophy here. It's about admitting that you can't get rid of risk and uncertainty with AI. The goal is to make that risk visible, to make it controllable, and to make it accountable, all the way up to the very top.
And that really leaves us with the big question for the whole financial world, doesn't it? We are handing the keys to our multi-trillion-dollar economy over to an increasingly powerful and autonomous driver. So the question is, are we absolutely sure we're building the guardrails to keep it from driving us all straight off a cliff?